just different.
Every now and then we come to tear it up. You can be anywhere doing anything, but you here with us. Black group therapy, black truth therapy, debated on the regularly in hopes to find a remedy, y'all. We more than friends, we family, y'all. So if I think somebody tripping, I'ma tell them they wrong, cause I know they'll do the same for me no matter the dispute. Black group therapy, live from the loop, huh? Yeah, we coming live from the loop. Black group therapy, live from the loop, huh? Yeah, we coming live from the loop. Black group therapy, live from the loop. Come on.
Alright, cool. So we all checked in. So let's get it started. So with this being our Veterans Day episode, and you being a veteran and everything, do you care to share how being in the military has impacted your life?
No question. We can talk about it. Definitely open it up. I believe in 100% transparency. So, hopefully from my walk and my truth, others could learn.
Yeah. So when did you go into the military?
Right. So I entered into the military in 2003. I graduated from high school in 2001. I come from a two-parent home. They're still together to this day. The reason I say that, of course, Jay-Z just came with some quotes and statements about, single-parent homes and things of that nature, trying to create a narrative, generalization and a narrative. But I came from a two-parent home. But for me, I struggled quite often coming from a two-parent home because I felt like I had to deny many of the things my parents were sacrificing to give me, in a sense. Because for me, leaving Morgan Park and going into a community like Oak Park that's predominantly white, similar to the school and in the classroom that your daughter's in now, it's interesting, particularly being a youth, like how you're attempting to define what it means to be black. Because I feel like often it's the perception that we don't have the freedom to be whoever the hell we want to be. Like it's a narrow definition of what it means to be black, particularly for me, being a black male. So I tried to create a definition for myself, and oftentimes that definition led me to some negative choices in life. So, took care of my grades, but often got myself in trouble. I have an older half brother that's been incarcerated 30 years of his life. So dealing with that, so I didn't actually choose to go to the military. Like it wasn't like I woke up one day and I wanted to be a patriot. I don't even believe in war. But what happens is for individuals like myself and others, so many of us are searching for opportunity, or looking to remove ourselves from certain situations, whether it be getting school paid for, getting out of your community that is just rife with gun violence, right? You trying to eat, just get a meal, a hot meal, a roof over your head, because we know the interconnected issues that exist. So it's deep to me, when people really ask somebody like myself who, I preach a lot of different things about black empowerment and how, white capitalism and white supremacy play roles in our society by design. Like, I didn't go to the military because I wanted to. It seems like it was like the last option. Because honestly,
how old were you when you first?
I was 20. So I was 20. Cause I graduated 2001. I was 20. I had moved to Atlanta.
So you weren't fresh out of high school?
No, I was trying to live. Was getting in trouble. Moved to Atlanta.
So for 2 years you were wilding.
Right.
And then you was like, you know what? Let me.
Well, it was an investigation. I stole some money. I'll be honest. I stole some money. It was an investigation taking place. My father was back in Chicago. The authorities called my home because the bank. I was working at a bank and I did some things inappropriately. So they were looking for me. So my father, being a strong brother that he is, actually jumped into his vehicle, drove overnight down to Atlanta, found out where I was. Hit me up, you know what I'm saying? Hit me up real quick, and we went through that process. And thankfully, because I got the bank job because of a family friend, you know what I'm saying? So they had some connections to our family. They presented an option. Quite honestly, they said we could either, pursue and charge you. Honestly, I remember sitting there, and I'm in tears. My father
take your ass to the military.
Right, or take your ass to the military. Do something positive with yourself.
So when you were in the military, how many years did you spend in the military?
6 years active duty.
Okay.
6 years in the shit I saw.
Were you overseas?
I deployed. I was in Kuwait. It was in Turkey. Briefly in Afghanistan. I had some decent deployments too.
So you were there between what year?
2003 to 2009.
So Bush was in office.
Yeah, that was.
And then you came out in the beginning of Obama's term.
Right, correct. So we were invading. Looking for
you was
weapons of mass destruction.
You was shooting insurgents.
You know, well, I was Air Force, you know, so
Okay.
thankfully for me, I was able to go to the Air Force, so we were more in a supportive role, but even in that supportive role, we were still exposed to different things in regards to supporting the Marines, supporting the Army. And what's deep to me is like how being deployed, I saw firsthand how one person's terrorist could be another person's patriot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like America, we destabilize nations. Like we destroy nations purposely for profit. But then go in there and act like we're the
one
saviors.
man's leader is another man's terrorist.
Exactly. So you know, so that's how I viewed it in a sense. I could have been that 16-year-old that we had shackled up to our airplane with a bag over his head, you know, mistreating. Because again, what did he grow up in? He grew up in seeing our nation bombing.
You saw this?
Yeah. I saw this. I saw that. You know what I'm saying? So it was eye-opening to me. And then to be in areas where you were literally serving with like straight up racists, you know, individuals that never saw a black person personally before. Many of them have, you know, the Napoleon complexes in a sense, like we see with our police departments, where they're desperate for and searching for power, so they get rank and think they could talk to you any type of way. And just how I was raised, even though I realized I had to go there, like my crew, like my people's out there, like we didn't play, like you couldn't talk to me any type of way. You know, like I recognize if you had rank, but you're not gonna talk to me like a boy. You know, so that created a lot of issues and turmoil too. We constantly found ourselves in front of our sergeants and so on and so forth, restricted duty, things of that nature, because we had mouths. We dared to speak up and talk back. You know, to many of these white men, you know, with rank primarily, and white women as well, you know, who thought they could control you and tell you how to live and what to do, and we weren't for that. And you honestly see a lot of people getting caught up in the criminal justice system because they get placed in barracks, you know, they get arrested, they get court-martialed, and that can ruin your life. You know, being court-martialed is like having a felony. So I mean, it's deep, it's really deep, but like anything else, white supremacy is rampant.
Like dialing it back, you know, something that piqued my interest was you literally seeing a young child from Iraq or Afghanistan and being able to empathize and realize, like, man, they're not terrorists, they're just trying to get us out of their country. As a soldier, and still having a duty and a responsibility to the country, how did you handle that? As a soldier, as a black man, as a human being, as all of those things.
And I mean, again, you know, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but I think for me, I'm always a black man first. Like I'm black first before anything. You know, so I recognize essentially our own country has been at war with us and our people since its founding.
Yes.
You know, so if I could peep the game and understand that, how they've been at war with black communities and black society, how they've used narratives and they've used dehumanization to justify what they've done to our people. You know, whether it be enslavement or slavery by a new name through the prison, you know, the prison industrial complex and sharecropping and things of that nature. What's that different? You know, they're creating a narrative, painting a picture of these individuals. You know, at the time we were calling them insurgents, but I remember being on a plane, it was like 60 of them literally chained down. We're talking little boys, you know, some grown men, etc. These are savages. These are this and that. Again, using that language to try to get you to, you know, program you. To say, oh, we can mistreat these because they're not even people, right? They're not even human. But that's by design. They use the power of language, right?
Yeah.
How they use language against us. We're monkeys. We're subhuman. We're not intelligent. We're property. We're commodities. So for me, just understanding that to a certain extent and recognizing the game and how it's played, I was never a soldier. You know, I was honestly a black dude in the military trying to survive and get the hell out of there. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I wasn't fighting for Uncle Sam. I wasn't fighting for this country because this country has never fought for me.
You was just doing what you had to do.
I was doing what I had to do, you know, because I made some mistakes. So that's how I looked at it in a sense. And for me, like, of course, going back, you can't change the past. Like, it had to happen because I felt like it provided me with greater perspective of just individuals that I encountered in the military and just seeing the level of bigotry and hate that exists and how, again, it's about profit at the end of the day. It's not about freedom, it's about profit.
Given that you said this had to happen, would you recommend that type of system?
No, not at all. Not at all. And it's that's such an important question because as a high school teacher, I'm encountering students on a daily basis that are not prepared for real life, particularly black and brown students. So when they're leaving high school, their options are somewhat limited. You know, because again, by design, our system has failed them. Of course, there's accountability within the home as well, but our systems have failed them. So, honestly, similar to the place I was in 2003, their options are limited. So quite possibly the military or the Peace Corps or some shit like that are their only options. They're just going to work. Right. You know, we know how our society is, especially like what type of jobs exist for us, particularly in our communities. So I struggle with that, honestly, but I would not recommend that. You know, I do have students that come to me and approach me. They choose to go, and I just keep it funky with them. I just try to keep it as real as possible, let them know my experiences, and hopefully they can learn from my truth. But I don't tell them what choice to make. Because they have to make it for. Because I realize shit. I mean, we have some students not knowing if they're gonna live. You know. Yeah. I've lost 11 students to gun violence. It's real out here, so they gotta get away. You know, but
so like to include you guys in the conversation, right? I know that you haven't been in the military. I definitely have not been and don't plan on attending.
Attending like
here, but all right. But you know. What are you guys' opinions on the military? What have you what are some of the like thoughts and ideas like when you would just think about it? I know me personally speaking, I grew up watching like Don't Be a Menace to South Central and like Boys in the Hood, and like when Furious Styles was talking to Trey and he was like, a black man ain't got no business in a white man's army. And like nigga, I internalized that shit like. There we go, nigga. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but I know what I'm not finna go do. I'm not finna go be in a white man's army. You know, so like that's what like the military kind of like, excuse me, like meant to me growing up, right? But then like as I got well into my adulthood, I have family members, I have friends who have enlisted, right? And they go away for years and they come back and like every benefit in America is just like, nigga, here you go. Thank you for your service. And they have like all of these benefits and I'm like, my black ass should have went to this white man's army. Damn it, Furious. Boys in the Hood, you have to see me.
That's real.
Gave me the wrong information. Right. So it's like, what do you all think? How do you all view like the military in today's society, historically, whatever?
So unfortunately, I didn't watch that until I was much older. My parents did not let me watch anything like that at that age. But strangely enough, I grew up watching plenty of like Rambo and Arnold. So I thought the military was cool. I was like, I ain't even gonna lie. I was in that sense, I was a child of America. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go be, Rambo out here.
Lambo, the black Rambo.
Exactly. But I definitely get what he was saying about like that affording you an opportunity, just because. So I actually almost enlisted in the Marines. Because at the time I was a senior in high school and I was waiting to hear back from the scholarship program, but it wasn't like a guaranteed thing. So like my backup plan, because my family, they didn't have money to send me to school, so I was like, I've been talking to Marine recruiters, and I did like my research. My thing was like, okay, where am I gonna go? I'm gonna get the best training to protect myself, whatever. And people were always like, oh, Marines are crazy, and I was like, well, that sounds like I fit in there. Cool, all right.
You low key look like a Marine.
I don't know. I guess I'll take that as a compliment. All right, but yeah. So it was literally like,
I guess it is.
It was literally like it came down to the wire. I think the last, like, the deadline for me to let the Marines know if I was going to enlist was, like, literally, like, a week away. And I hadn't heard anything. And I'm like, oh, damn. All right, well, I'm going to have to... and they, like, calling me every day. They like, working hard for that,
They're trying to get your 18-year-old
Exactly, right. Because, like, the big thing was, oh, yeah, you 18, you're athletic or whatever. Yeah. They like, oh, yeah, you perfect.
Commodity.
Yeah, and then like, because I remember sitting in the office, they looking at my grades like, oh yeah, you got like B+, A average, like yeah. And literally I want to say like, because it was that Friday I think was the day I had to tell some like maybe Thursday night, I got a call, unfortunately, like, you know, hey, we like to offer you a scholarship to University of Illinois, like, and I was able to like go that route. But like as I got older and I learned more about just the world in general, like in college, that I started to like understand that perspective you all were talking about earlier about one man's hero being another man's terrorist. And ironically, even though I know these two things are like polar opposite, what kind of got my brain like turned that direction, honestly, was the Dark Knight. I was because
hold on,
that's
who
what
in the Dark Knight could have been someone's hero and the other man's terrorist?
Because people consider the Joker a hero.
Oh, okay.
He's a lot of people because like.
But those niggas was bad guys and they knew they was bad guys.
But okay, so because I went to college for like studying film and stuff like that. So like studying Joker like as a character.
It was genius. Genius character.
Yeah, he's like the reason why he's always Batman's foil is because Batman is supposed to represent this like the height of goodness and integrity, right? And the Joker is like, I used to be you type thing, but I saw how truly evil the world is, and I'm going to show you how truly evil the world is, which is why he's such a compelling character, because if you notice, mostly everything he did, it was nothing like, oh, I'm going to just dangle this person for the sake of dangling it. It was always, he put other people's fates in the hands of other people, of like, let me show you that when stuff goes wrong, or when it comes down to my life over yours, I'm always going to choose myself first. And so, like, in a way, like, even though I didn't necessarily agree with his perspective, like, the genius behind his character, and then, like, if you look at later iterations of him, like, how people, like, became huge supporters of him, to them, like, he represented, like, people in society that are, like, you know, thought of as weirdos or different or whatever. And that was empowering for them or whatever. But I immediately kind of got to like understand like, okay, even though I don't necessarily personally agree with his ideology, like I can see like from the other side of the coin, if I'm a white male in America and I'm weird and I don't have a lot of friends or I don't do what everybody else does, like this guy, yeah, he is a hero because everyone else makes you feel like crap and he, but yeah, long story short. Between that and then also like a lot of the classes I was taking that talked about media in general, because that was the other part of my concentration was how media influences people. I started to see those ads about the Marines and the Army and Air Force. I started to look at it differently, like propaganda. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's selling you this dream of like, yeah, you're gonna represent your country. You're a hero. Like, and it's like, whose hero are you really? Like, who's this villain or whatever that they're telling you that you're fighting against?
So that's why you didn't go, or was it because like you just got accepted into college?
Well, no, I went because I got accepted in college.
So basically, everything that you said.
No, that came later. That actually came during college, and like the more I learned,
you like, I'm so glad I didn't go to this white man's.
pretty much.
I guess.
Pretty much. Yeah. The only benefit, I mean, I would have saw was maybe the training. That was about it. But like
Sylvia, what about you?
Growing up, I don't have a lot of memory of even talking about the military. My granddad served in the Navy, but I honestly could not tell you when, how many years. It just really wasn't talked about. As I got older, not even in college, graduated college, just learned more about myself, my people, where I'm from, and what really went down in this place we call the USA. Is when I started gathering my opinions on the whole idea of going to fight for a country that did what? Did it win?
So you was with me.
Absolutely. It was like, why would I want to go and do that, knowing what you've done, what you are doing, and what you continue to plot to do? So why would I go and protect BS? So that's always been my thoughts on it. That's why I was really interested to hear from Anthony whether or not you would suggest that.
Right, no question. Yeah, no question. I mean, for me, hearing everything that everybody shared, like, again, this is my personal opinion. But I feel like the military is the biggest welfare system in America because our government creates the necessity to join the military. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like school is not free. You know, housing is an issue. We have food deserts. We have gun violence. We have so many young adults that just lack opportunity and they're searching. You know, and the military serves as that enticement, that welfare system. We're gonna feed you.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna pay you.
Yeah.
You know, we'll pay for your school, so on and so forth. And I think again, I always say by design, because if you think about it, yes, you know, I got the GI Bill. That was $150,000 after I got out.
Yeah.
Multiple degrees paid for. You know, I got my food paid for while I was in, so on and so forth. I'm a veteran, so a lot of people respect that. Open some doors for me. But how I view it is, again, how our government sells individualism in a sense. Like, if you join, you're going to be better. But for me, it's to the detriment of the collective. You see what I'm saying? Like, if that makes sense. Like, again, not trying to go in on it too deep, but like, look at Obama. Like, I remember when Barack Obama was elected, like as a black male, like that was exciting for me because you never thought you would see a black male in office. But if we really break it down, while Barack and Michelle continue to be celebrated, you know, they're making $500,000 in speeches, they're buying mansions, they're idolized. How has the collective benefited? How have we improved as a people? It's actually worse for us now. But yet they're exalted. So again, for us, it's the white man's individualism that gets sold to us and entices us. And many of us bite it. We bite the bait. Because look at, I'm good.
Right.
That's why you hear so many rich athletes and rappers like Lil Wayne say stupid shit like, oh, you know, whatever, you know, like racism, you know, don't exist and I'm above it, or ASAP until he got his ass locked up in Europe. But they're disconnected.
Yeah.
So,
So,
you know?
question. So, like, with being in the military, you know, I got, like I said, friends and family who have been in the military, and then, like, you know, some would say it's kind of like a college campus. Like, you have these 18-year-olds who, you know, ain't never lived outside their mom's crib, and they just got in. and you know what I'm saying? And they here, and they, like, everybody's fucking each other. Niggas, you know what I'm saying? They just, how, like, you've been there, tell me. And you was 20, so let's keep it a buck.
No question.
What was it like, bro?
Keep it a buck. I mean, I say it's even, you take it to a step further than like a college campus. Like, you think of an
y'all got money that y'all, like,
town.
More money than y'all ever had in y'all life.
Military bases are towns. Like, you literally don't have to leave the military base if you don't want to. So if you think about it, you take a broke 19-year-old, you put money in his pocket, he has a free place to stay, he has food in his pocket, now he has a crew because you meet people across the country, so you squadding up. So I'm not even gonna lie, like, we called ourselves the Zoo. Like, that was my crew. Like, we called ourselves the Zoo. I had my boy Tyran from Atlanta, my boy Elton, we called him Houston from H-Town, he's from Houston, Byron from Cleveland, Don from New York, Mays from New York. Like, we squatted up and we all got money. We all just bought cars.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just like whatever you're into. Like, I knew people that were selling cocaine on military bases. Like, it's just like,
God damn it, nigga.
Drugs is like crazy.
In my mind, and my boys in the hood influenced mine. It was like the military is full of these militant, but only for American ass people. But really, it was low key like a big ass Walmart, where it's like, man, I'm just here for the check, man. Fuck these niggas. They told me to pack these boxes.
Right.
Now, like, no question, you got those straight and narrows. You got those straight and narrows, patriotic dudes that, again, we got in trouble because they tried to control you. Like, I remember I had a white sergeant dude was about 5'6", and he wanted me to come in to work, but I wasn't scheduled to work. But they think they control your life, and he didn't know another sergeant had gave me the time off, and I didn't update them when I moved because we got our own houses. This dude left work and was banging on my old crib, and I ended up getting in trouble because he did not move. But the dude opened the door with a shotty to his face. He put a shotgun to my sergeant's face. Like, what the fuck you doing? But that's how like they think they own you. You know, so you do have that.
You could just have your shotgun just in your spot.
Oh, we own. I'm not gonna lie. I had a AK. I had an M4. My dude had a fucking Uzi. Like, it's like we're young and we just have money and you could buy guns and you could go party. We throwing parties every night. I became an alcoholic. I had to work
on the base.
On base. Like, I became. Well, I mean, you could go off base too though. Okay. But you have so many different cultures. So, you know, growing up, honestly, all I dated was black women before I entered into the military. But then, like, damn, like, what are you? Like, you see me, right? No, I ain't never dated no white woman. I can't do pink toes. Never dated a white woman in my life. That's just me. Nothing's wrong with them. White women are beautiful.
I'm just checking, brother.
But, like, mixes. Like, I didn't know what the hell Eritrean
Me
was.
neither.
Eritrean. Like,
Yeah,
I was like, what
they
the hell's
gorgeous.
Eritrean? But
Yeah.
I met that on the military base. You know, Honduran, Afro-Latina, like you just kicking it. Y'all all young. You out, you got money. Somebody got the drugs over here. You know, it's just... So a lot of people get in trouble. A lot of people lose their lives. A lot of people get arrested. I was actually shot in 2007. You know, it's crazy when people hear that. They think I was shot overseas. I was actually shot in Seattle. Like, we were downtown Seattle, Washington at a club before I was supposed to deploy the next night. Got into it with a local gang, and they ended up shooting up the car.
Damn.
And so it's like that out there. You know, so if you don't have your head on straight, and who does at night, like, really, who does at 19, 18, you struggling, you coming from, oftentimes, around where you ain't had shit. Like, you just dirt poor. You really didn't have any structure. And then they just put you out there. And again, a lot of people lose it. You know, and we fighting Marines. Like, we'll go to the bar, we see Marines, we fight because we Air Force. Like, it's gang shit almost. Like, we Air Force, they Marines, they Navy. So, like, on base, we work together.
Fuck you, nigga. Go fly a plane, nigga. We in the box, nigga. Nigga, we underwater, nigga.
So many of our young men, our young women lose it.
Hey.
And honestly, it's a lot of negativity, too. Because let's be honest, rape culture exists in the military.
They raping in the military?
A lot of our young women, particularly, you know, are being sexually assaulted, are being raped. Because, again, it's that mindset. And then they hush it up. They brush it under the rug. So they often feel like they don't have anybody to stand up for them, to advocate. So it's a lot of shit. Now, I have to grow as a man, you know. And that's one way I fight so fiercely now in regards to, you know, women's rights and so on and so forth. Because I remember, I could be honest, I'm a transparent person. I feel like I learn from my mistakes, and hopefully others do. I remember being in situations where I saw niggas doing some questionable shit.
And before you go further, come on now. Come on. She was in the military. Come on.
Come on in.
Get your ass in here. I'm sorry, Label. You can beat me up later.
Come on in.
We'll argue about it. So
doing?
Akila, everybody know Akila is like Black Group Therapy, family. She was in the military. She's a disabled veteran and all of that. So this is our Veterans Day episode. It's only right that we
But what percentage?
I'm 60. What you got?
I'm 90.
Ooh. I need to get
Find
it.
your life.
Right. I need to
Find
get
your
what you
life.
see. That's I'm 60, man.
I don't even know what the hell y'all even talking
Our
about.
disability percentages. So
Okay.
we get tax-free money every month, and, you know, benefits. I get free health care, and I get what? I get
Yeah, what you missed out on.
something like that. No, 600 makes 6,000.
Hey, I'm still young. I can go enlist. Am I too old to like get in the military now?
I think the cutoff is 34.
John.
Before we go into like the benefits and all of that, like this is still Labor Day, right?
Right.
And as the foreigner in the room, I remember
Veterans Day.
like,
Veterans Day.
Well, this is a Veterans Day
oh,
episode.
sorry, Veterans Day.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
bad. See, I even keep the holidays all confused. My bad.
Yeah, we
So
love you though.
this is Veterans Day, and as someone who like my relationship with America was very much through Hollywood, and so veterans, like a lot of the times, what I understood and who I understood were veterans were white people. Like I didn't know that black people enlisted in the army here because I didn't think. I was just like, why would they have to?
Right.
They don't have to fight for, you know, just with the politics and everything of America. But what I want to know, like, in coming here and understanding how different holidays impact different people groups, how does this particular holiday impact or benefit the black community?
That's interesting. So I mean, just a quick question. I know that we just want to transition from, because I was talking about sexual assault. I'm just.
I really want to stay on
We
that.
want
but
to
we
transition from that.
We'll
We'll
go back to it.
Okay, good. Yeah, I just want to make sure.
So,
We
like,
just
to
touch
answer
on that.
Labo's question, I would say that, like, you know, coming from a urban, young black male perspective, I always looked at it like, nah, I'm good, right? And I never had that, like, you didn't, like, like I think we're cut from the same cloth in the sense where it's like it wasn't what you grew up wanting to do.
No.
When you joined the military, was that something that you grew up wanting to do, Keela?
No, it was something that I felt like I needed to do just because, like most black families, my parents didn't have money for me to go to college.
Yeah, he's talking about the opportunity.
So
Yeah, and so I didn't want to go into that. Actually, I didn't want to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
College ain't for everybody. Let's start there.
No question.
College is not for everybody. The military was able to give me a trade and a skill that
How
I
many
didn't
years were you in
necessarily
there?
need a degree. 4.
4 years. Yeah. Go ahead. Keep going.
But yeah, I didn't need a degree to obtain my skill. They were willing just to teach it to me. I didn't have to jump through all these hoops. I feel like it also benefits blacks because a lot of people don't know this, but the military is willing to pay your student loans if you enlist for a certain amount of years. I had friends that they paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans for them for 6 years. Now, granted, 6 years is a long time, but you probably would have paid them student loans for the next 20 low key.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I guess that part helps.
Mm-hmm.
As well as, it just depends on what branch you enlist in.
Mm-hmm.
I was Air Force. We kind of the smartest. Outside of the Coast Guard, low key.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, okay. Because I'm like, some people be real
Right.
touchy about that.
We had a possible Marine over here.
You got an almost Marine, but he got accepted in college.
Hey man, I like to get down and dirty. And,
But no, the Air Force take care
Now
of
he
people.
just plays Call of Duty and
So really,
Hey
you
man,
just
listen,
wanted to
I was on a rank squad for a little bit on Call of Duty, man.
Black Ops.
But I just feel like it just depends on what branch you're going to. I mean, just like with anything, the Air Force is one of the more elite branches. So they take better care of their people. They believe like in quality. If you're better taken care of, then you'll better take care of your mission in that sense. But I mean, they have reserve, which you a weekend warrior. They have National Guard. The Air Force also has a National Guard, which a lot of people don't know. I didn't know because I would have went guard.
So you would recommend enlisting in the military, and if so, are there particular branches you would recommend versus others?
The Coast Guard. I ain't gonna stunt though. There's not a lot of African Americans in the Coast Guard, so expect to be the minority. No bullshit. The Air Force is a really good branch. Even the Navy is a really good branch. Outside of that, I wouldn't recommend them.
Do you all, and like everybody can speak to this, right? Like, is there a certain level of, to a certain extent, how much do you have to like ignore the motive of the United States to just like be like, you know what? I know y'all out here oppressing other people in other countries. And I know y'all low-key oppress me and my people in this country, but, like, I mean, I'll join y'all and help y'all oppress other people as long as I can get my benefit.
I think it goes back to the individualism compared to the collective argument in a sense.
How did that, like, what did that, if it did anything, what did it do to you all mentally being in the service?
Honestly, I think being in the service made me slightly more grateful, and I just say that because I did deploy to third world countries.
It's like, at least I ain't these niggas.
You know what? It's sad to say that, but like their foreman, no bullshit, used to take and keep their passports, and they would have to work to get their passports back. It was basically indentured servitude, and they would eat on the ground in the sand. Like they made buildings and cement and sidewalks literally out of none of the tools that we use, literally with their hands. And we used to get yelled at for offering them food because their foremen would say that we were spoiling them. It really seemed like slavery, and it made me more grateful to be where I was within the country that I was in, because damn, like I couldn't imagine having to eat on the ground. Like these were grown men
They ain't had
sleeping
no plates?
No, legit. They would eat out of their hands. And I know in some countries that's not considered bad, I guess. They didn't use utensils. They also they all lived in the same house. It was basically like a tent, and 26 of them stayed there. They all lived together, and they would get paid so little that they would send most of their paycheck back home to their family. And if you got sick or you missed work, your foreman wouldn't give you back your passport, and it wasn't considered illegal.
Yeah, I think it's deep for me. Like, it was the opposite for me in a sense. Like, it entered me, I think mental health is extremely important in the black community overall. There's a lot of stigmas attached to it. It's rarely discussed. But it sent me into a depression, like, quite honestly. Because the things that I experienced, being in the military, I think being headstrong and, trying to fight back against, various forms I felt of oppression and control. But then seeing how other countries were existing or living, and feeling like and believing we 100% had a hand in it, fighting against communism, as an excuse, or, so on and so forth. Like, that led me to further depression, honestly. So that led me into alcoholism. That led me into drug abuse for a long period of time. Like, I was abusing drugs and alcohol while still being in the service. I was shot in 2007. They finally medically released me due to disability in 2009. And that 2009 to 2010 time frame, coming back home, it was rough for me, but thankfully I found therapy, so I'll share that walk with anybody. Like, I attend therapy every week if I can. Thankfully, I refound cannabis, so I'm a medical cannabis card holder, and I just found positive outlets for myself to pull me from that negativity. But for me, like, again, it was just, I enjoyed I still have the same friends. Like, the friends I met there, like, we still kick it. We still travel now, go places. But the military experience overall was negative for me. And that's just my personal experience.
But I feel like the military can be an escape from what you're already being oppressed from within your own place. Like, there was so many of my friends that came from Chicago that joined the Air Force that knew nothing about. They had never been outside of Chicago. They had never lived on their own. They had never really had money like what they were seeing. It was a guaranteed paycheck. So I like he said, I really do feel like it all depends on which lens you're looking out of it from. Because sometimes it can save you and sometimes it can ruin you.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of feels. Like, X and Sil, like, if you all, what do you all think? Would you all, like, consider doing that, or what are y'all? Because I'm over here like, man, I'm just a regular ass citizen. What do y'all think? Y'all good? Y'all good?
Yeah,
I don't know, but feel like y'all don't have to pay, like, taxes on, like, when y'all go to, like,
but it's,
I mean, H&M and shit.
Illinois and Texas are the only two states, if you're a veteran, like, even outside of the GI Bill, Illinois and Texas, you can go to public institutions for free. So, I mean, there's a lot of benefits. I get free health care. You get free, you 90.
I said with my black ass.
I'm sorry.
But you,
I
was gonna say.
But no, there's a lot of benefits.
I like benefits.
You know,
Clearly, we can see that. No, I feel like.
I think it's more than just benefits. I used to take hops. A lot of people don't know what hops are, but hops are when you can literally take a hop from one base to another on a military plane for free.
Right.
Yeah.
Question. All right.
Go ahead.
What role, or do you even think that there is a role that the military can play on, like, empowering the black community?
Defunding their ass.
He said empowering.
Empowering.
By
defunding
the military, we can then use those funds to fund our educational system.
Exactly.
Do you think they spend too much money in the
Too much
military?
fucking money. Like, right now, I don't know if you saw the article. It just came out. The Pentagon has approved to basically siphon billions of dollars from the military budget to pay for this stupid ass wall. So again, that's billions of dollars. What could that money be used for within our educational system, within our healthcare systems, with investing back in divested communities? Job creation, job growth. So for me, the only way is to take money from them and reinvest it in interconnected issues.
So it's not necessarily the military; it's the money that the military
The money
has.
that's spent on the military. It's ridiculous. It's
community.
ridiculous. Like, we waste money in the military. You saw that. We wasted a lot of money. Like, I'll never forget. Like, then I'm gonna shut up. Like, we went on
They
a
might
trip.
be watching your ass. Like, you gonna defund your ass.
Oh, some real shit. I see you dropping us out 30%
He got the cash and everything. They're like, nigga, no, he 5%
It
injured.
is what it is. But I remember we took a trip to New Zealand, because we were doing like drops off in Antarctica or some shit we were doing. Like, it was testing. We were dropping people off in Antarctica. we literally probably only flew the plane from New Zealand like twice. We stay in the 5-star hotels. You know what I'm saying? Like every.
I mean, should you stay in less?
I'm just.
I see why you. I figured you out.
But that's
we done
like,
figured
we
you out
kicking
over
it.
there.
We kicking it. You know, I'm going to the clubs,
Club,
downtown
yeah.
Christchurch. Like, yeah, it's cool. Like, it was a great experience. But in my mind, I'm like, well, damn. Like, all this fucking taxpayer dollars
So
that's going to me kicking it in New Zealand for some bullshit.
For some test runs.
Right, for some test
Well, you know
runs.
what? For your clearance, that's what you were doing.
Right.
Exactly. So you have a certain clearance. You really don't know what they were doing in New Zealand.
That's true. That's
Exactly.
true. But
So it makes me think, like
That's-
like X said.
Wow.
Go ahead, X. You was
And
gonna say
that's
something?
all
Go
the
ahead, bro.
No, I mean,
He thinking back
I'm
to
not even
Rambo.
gonna go down
He
there.
was like, damn, I should have joined the
No, like, don't get me in my like deep internal rabbit holes of thought about.
Oh, you got
Government.
your theories?
oh, it's there. It's because
I mean,
Oh yeah,
that's
because
we have
because to me,
we have
like,
about 10-15 minutes.
because I remember when it became a big issue about how much money goes to the military, and then like I forgot, I don't remember what year it was, but they were like trying to give like a breakdown for certain things, and I remember talking to somebody, and I was like, I'm like, you do know, like I feel like majority of that budget is because they low key be doing a lot of shit they ain't got no business doing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I fully believe like there are probably some like, United States ending events that like we done dodged a couple times, but it's like we would never ever know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or like just in general, like whether or not you believe conspiracy theories, because I feel like there's so many. This is like. I don't know. it's like I'm sure there's truth to some things here and there, but it's just like I know for a fact like there's probably so many things going on behind the curtain that you don't see or don't hear about. Like I'm sure that's what most of the money goes to. Like I mean, that defies the imagination, probably.
But also, I think just coming back to the issue that you were talking about, Anthony, before Akila came in. If we talk about the amount of money that's spent in the army or the military, how much of that money is spent in covering up acts of sexual
Right.
violence towards women? With being sued, like they're constantly bulldozing people who are trying to fight for their legal rights, whether it is wrongfully terminating people's contracts. And I know of a woman whose contract was wrongfully terminated, and she was really high up, but really she's fighting against the system that has so much money behind it. So, like, misappropriation of funds and back to the sexual abuse within
to me, the billions of dollars I spent to maintain white supremacy, honestly, instead of engaging in black empowerment. Like that's just how I view things. They call us Big Brother for a reason. Like I think we involve ourselves unnecessarily oftentimes in global issues. We topple democracies. Back in the 50s, so on and so forth. Communism was such a huge issue. So we have to, topple regimes and place dictators in the office. I mean, we could look at the information. Bin Laden was trained by, you know what I'm saying? He was trained by us. So it's deep, but for me, it all goes back to, again, trying to maintain ourselves as the number one world power and, maintain white supremacy. And that's why, again, the military, the budget is being tapped into to, impact immigration.
And that's why it's interesting to me, like, when X says, thank you for your service, right? And you be like, but you gotta say like, thank
I mean,
you,
it depends on where I am.
appreciate
Sometimes I keep it 100. Be like, you don't have to thank me. I'm no patriot. I didn't fight for anybody. I keep it real because I don't even like a lot of people like.
I'm gonna blur your face out, bro, because I don't.
No, we good. This is the first time, bro.
They just gonna see your foot, bro. They gonna be like, who is that? Well, get us a list of niggas with injured
tattoos. They can look at the tattoo, but for me, I just keep it real. Like I don't promote myself as a veteran. Like I don't proudly say I'm a veteran. Like
I respect that.
If you know.
I was gonna say, but for me, like it comes from like I know you didn't have to.
Thank you. I was just.
It's not even matter whether or not you're a patriot or whatever. Like you didn't have. The fact is you did something like that. I ultimately was like, nah, I'm good. Like, oh, you mean put my life on the line? Like, oh no, I'm straight.
No, I'm saying like Citizen said, like it's always another choice. You didn't necessarily have to.
Either
You
that or
chose
go
that
to jail.
path.
But no, remember his story though. He had an
wasn't
option
here.
like either go to jail or go to the
Like
military.
it wasn't through legal. Like long story short,
That was still your choice though.
Yeah.
Oh no,
you right. I could have been on some Orange is the New Black type shit. But,
On the real shit. Like,
take me to jail.
Lock me up.
I ain't
Throw away the key.
That's the era we come from.
Right.
Jail and military.
but like you, I mean, plenty of people pick jail all the time. I know mugs that shit. They go back and back and back. Like it's nothing in them.
Okay,
you know
I
what I'm
get
saying?
it.
But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, I get that you felt like, oh well, the military is the lesser of the two evils. But I feel like you still didn't have to.
Yeah.
right.
You still didn't have to.
Right.
At the end of the day, there's so many people that also choose not to.
But that comes from knowing your opportunities too. Like you said, like a lot of the young men that we do know to go to jail other than going to the military. Those young men are in situations where, like you said, you moved from Morgan Park at a young age, and you've seen other benefits.
Right.
A lot of these young men, like you said, a lot of the men that you know that were in the military, this was the best opportunity that could happen to them because, you know what I'm saying? So it depends on your situation and the altitude of how high you are before you get to the military.
No
You know?
question.
And I also feel like, you may not be proud to serve, but you're proud to collect that check.
But
You know what I'm saying? You still all want all your benefits that came with the fact that you served.
y'all done made me. Ooh, I'm ready. This motherfucker
waiting.
But again, but if we break that down, though,
You want to be court martial? I'll court martial your ass.
I'm telling you what.
All right.
Article 15.
but again, though, but with life,
Thank you for your service.
this motherfucking country was built on our backs, though.
It
You know what I'm
was.
saying?
So that brings me.
Okay, so accept that.
Hold on, y'all not
gratitude shit.
Nobody's respecting
No,
the
your
guy.
ancestors served and died, bro, with no acknowledgement, period. They buried people who wanted to see them dead and still fucking enslaved just because they felt more humanity towards them than they ever received in return. So take your motherfucking compliment. You deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree, but I feel you.
I mean,
Okay.
shit, we agree to disagree. I'm still
Right.
gonna tell you thank you for your service.
I feel you.
But
I'm not gonna thank you, but I love you, though.
Ah, shit.
I guess I feel back out and just let them have that moment. But we gotta wrap it up. So it was two questions that I really want answered, and then we'll wrap it up. The first question is about rape culture in the military. We kind of like tried to tap into it 2 times. We never really got a chance to dive in it. If y'all could just speak on it briefly, you know, not too.
No, I mean,
You can never talk briefly about rape.
yeah, I mean, it's
Okay.
what I can say
don't
is
roll your eyes. You can never talk too briefly about rape in the same way you can never talk briefly about slavery, in the same way you can never talk briefly about apartheid. Let's just get that straight.
I mean, it
Hold on, wait a minute. What you say?
Why y'all get this
It
nigga a
exists.
He's born
it's
it for
real.
himself.
It's pervasive.
That's bang.
I mean, that's what I can say. You know, like going back, like I'm 36 now. You know, if I could go back knowing what I know now at the age of 20, like I witnessed a lot of shit that's inappropriate. You know, and at the time, for whatever reasons, you know, because they were my friends, because I knew individuals, because I felt uncomfortable in the moment, I did not speak up. But I could personally say I saw a lot of shit that was inappropriate, that should not have occurred. So rape culture is extremely pervasive in the military based upon my experiences. Because again, you have a lot of young people, alcohol, money, you know, sometimes lack of, you know, direction in a sense. And there's a lot of, you know, young women particularly that are victims and survivors. And oftentimes their voices go unheard. Because
How does the military deal with it? Have you all heard any?
They don't have to deal with it because a lot of times girls don't report. They don't report because you'll be seen at fault. You aren't supposed to be drinking a certain amount of time before being on duty. Either just the environment that it's happening in. Like there's so many rules in the UCMJ, Uniform Code of Military Justice, that you would still be in trouble for being raped. Your stripes would be put on the line. Your stripes being put on the line means your paycheck going down. that means you personally maybe being put out the military for being it's going to be ramifications even though you were a victim. And so to just rather not deal with it at all, you act like it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I know plenty of girls that were sexually assaulted and they either did not say anything or they just chose to completely avoid the person.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Do you think that was a wise decision?
I feel like,
Be honest.
I mean, I can't say, well, your story and your journey is yours.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say whether or not it was the best thing for your life. I know at the time, sometimes it can seem like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and no matter which choice you make, both are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels that way, though. Like,
And if I could jump in on
That's
that,
heavy. I don't even know how to.
I feel like as somebody who identifies as a male, that's where our fucking responsibility comes in. At. You know, we should be speaking up because we're part of the problem. So it should be us fighting to be part of the solution.
Say that again. She wants you to repeat that again.
And I said that's why I think men, you know, need to step up. You know, it cannot be, the burden cannot be placed on women who are being attacked, who are victims, who are survivors, because we're part of the problem. So we should be fighting to be part of the solution. So that's why I look back to being 20 years old, 21 years old, and saying, damn, you know, that shorty may be a little bit too drunk, you know, whatever, and just moving on. Hey, I could have stepped up in that moment like, hey, my dude, let's step back. You know what I'm saying? Think about what you're doing. Let's make sure she gets home safely. So in that mindset, or when something occurred, if a young woman, you know, lady felt like she could not speak up because of the UCMJ, because of, you know, blowback, I could speak up too. Because it also comes with power, right?
Yeah.
And the military is extremely misogynistic. So as a male, I theoretically already have more power, you know, because I'm a man in the military, even though I'm a black male. So that's just how I peep it. Like, men have to step the fuck up inside and outside the military to address rape culture, you know, misogyny, toxic masculinity, you know, so on and so forth. Yeah. So it definitely exists. It definitely continues to be a problem, and we have to do more to end it.
Do y'all want to tap into that? I mean, I know we over here like, nigga, we ain't in the
I ain't got nothing.
I mean, it's
You
big
said
in the
it all.
military, though. It's in our hoods. It's in our households. Yeah. I mean, like, I ain't trying to be too controversial, but I was a nigga outside, you know, protesting R. Kelly. He got into it with his peoples. I don't know if y'all saw that on the video, but like people came out counter-protesting.
Was you that nigga who was that nigga who
So
like,
you had
who walked past his lawyer and was like, nigga, get out of my way?
Nah, that wasn't me. Like, I feel like, again, it's our responsibility to call this shit out because it's bigger than the military. Like, it's our culture.
Yeah.
But just military is like, it's hyper in a sense because of, again, you're secluded. There's law, greater laws that, you know, dictate how you can react, how you can speak up, so on and so forth. So it's real deep. So that shit has to end. Like, no question.
My second question and last question is pertaining to whether or not you all think it was a good move. Are you all happy with the decision that you've made? And would you recommend it to someone who is 17 getting ready to graduate high school and say, hey, if you don't feel like college is something for you, here's an alternative, and you know, this is what's gonna come with it. You know, I have my opinion, and maybe I'll you know, soften everything up with giving my opinion first. I would definitely recommend the military, and as pro-black as I am, and you all know me to be, fuck it, nigga, go get your benefits. Go.
So if your daughter came to you in 10 years.
My daughter is 7 years old, and since she was 4, has been saying she wants to be a police officer. So that's kind of like the same thing. And I have to deal with that.
Okay.
What the fuck can you do?
It makes sense. I mean,
So go ahead, excellent. Let's let us non-military people give our opinion. Then we're gonna work our way around. What do you think about the military? You almost Marine.
you gonna keep bringing that up, huh? No, I feel like as someone who's never went, I feel like it depends on the person. Like, my situation being similar to hers, like, if it's for you, if it's like, I want to go to college and I want, you know, this is the only way I can pay for it, why not? But it's also like, you gotta weigh. Also, it should also be understood too that initially when I was like so gung ho for the military, it was before we declared war in Iraq, which I was significantly less gung ho, but I was still like, you know, whatever, you know, this, it is what it is. I do think to some degree, some aspects of it, and again, this is because I wasn't in the military. I do think that some of the things, as far as like the discipline and the rigid routine that you learn to keep, is good to be learned and taught. But the other shit, oppressing other people in other places and all of that, nah. But I do think I don't know if I would suggest someone. I would honestly have to tell them, like, it depends on, like, they know their life better than I do. I don't know, to be honest.
Okay.
I guess,
and that's
like,
okay.
The best thing,
we don't always have the answers here. We just be talking about shit.
True. Yeah. Because part of me would want to say yeah to some students I have who have like zero self-control or like zero impulse control, and it's like, yeah,
you would be
like
a perfect
intense
murderer for the white man.
No, not that. No, it's like we getting the sign. Okay, Sylvia, go. What you say?
I'm sort of in that same place, except I don't like it's either no or do you. Definitely, like, for me personally, no. I'm a lover, not a fighter, point blank. But I don't see, like, recommending going to the military. If so, you just have to be mentally prepared on so many different levels. And it's like, how do you mentally prepare for something like that? Like,
you can't.
So for me, it will probably be no.
And what's up?
I think I mentioned it earlier. Like, I would not personally recommend it. I do have students that consistently come to me and ask me about it. I do not try to dissuade them. I just share my truth. The pros and cons that I experienced, and my beliefs, and allow them to make their decision. But for me, no, I will never like offer it up or suggest it.
You a solid brother, man.
For anybody. So that's just me.
I respect that. Keela. Look, he's like,
For me, I really feel like your journey is your journey and your walk is your walk, and whatever works for you, baby, let it work. I'm the type of person, I left the military, and I have gotten every job that I have ever applied for because I have a military preference. It comes, it works, it helps. I wanted to be in the trades. I applied. A week later, I had a job. It works. But I do also understand that it comes with its stigmas as well. No institution is perfect. So yeah, I just feel like do your research. It's important to know information. Don't let anybody persuade you into signing any documentation. Know that when you go downtown and you dep in, you're not really in, baby. You still have a choice to say no. A lot of people don't know that either. Know that there is a guard and a reserve. Just because a recruiter will only tell you, you can only go active, they lying. It's a specific recruiter for guard and reserve. And just things of that nature, because they don't come to our schools and our communities and try to really explain to you the ins and outs. So know for yourself, because no one can ever take knowledge away.
And I think that, like, it's important, like, the whole premise of Black group therapy, right, is thinking about how, like, does it benefit the community at large. I think we really need to, if Black people are going to come together in this country, they got to start making decisions based on how does this impact the community collectively. Because if you continue making decisions based off of how does this impact me and mine, then you continue living into this European model of individualism, which has created divide amongst us as a people. And so it's just really critically thinking through these things as and deconstructing systems and thought patterns that are really enslaving us in ways that we may not fully be able to articulate in this day and time.
Okay, and I have a rebuttal, but that's another episode. So I think we did really, really great. I want to thank our veterans for their service.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we coming live from the loop. Black group therapy, live from the loop, huh? Yeah, we coming live from the loop. Black group therapy, live from the loop. Come on.